Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is the Breaker Bulletin for July 12th, 2024. All right, friends, this is the Breaker Bulletin for July 12th, 2024. So those that are not familiar with the Breaker Bulletin, this is the show where I go through and break down everything that's going on with all the various Kickstarter projects, Patreon, etc., events coming up, so that everybody that is interested in Breaker Press Games is informed as to everything that's going on, particularly those of you that are waiting on various Kickstarters to arrive. So, this is the Breaker Bulletin. Let's talk about what's going on. First off, I want to apologize that this is 3 weeks later than normal. It just so happens that at the time that I normally release the Breaker Bulletin, I was at Origins, and I was at Origins for 6 days. Then I got back, had to get prepared for a couple of in-store performances, in-store visits that I was doing at Smuggler's Coffee and Old Guard Games. In that week, I was working on Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. In fact, I've got a copy of Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, the current incarnation right here that I used to run the games from. And I got back from those two things, or all of those things, and I came down with COVID. And so I lost an entire week, technically a little bit more than that, because I was laid low and brain fog, tired. I'm still trying to shake off the tired. I know I sound very upbeat and excited right now, but I spent the most of this morning just kind of dragging. But here I am. I'm doing the thing. And so let's talk about what's going on. So despite all of those things, going to Origins and doing these in-store visits and then getting COVID, June was actually a fantastic month. I ended up finishing shipping in the Protectorate of Genulane and Sorceress Rites of the Elements. Of course, went to Origins and got to meet all sorts of fantastic people and talk about DCC and all that good stuff. And I worked, as I said, a bit on Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. I also finished and released this Patreon reward, Pervasive Corruption, which has gotten fantastic reviews. People are really enjoying the idea of insidious luck. So that is what happened in June. So let's talk about where things are at now. I'm gonna flip over my card. So June was awesome, but July has been sort of a bust so far. The first 2 weeks of July has just been me trying to get back on top of things. So, what is going on? Well, here's the estimations. I really want to have Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise done for Gen Con. So, that is a seriously tight timeline. As a point of reference, we've got essentially, 2 weeks? Yeah, two and a half weeks before Gen Con. And so that means me finishing out a number of pages in here, filling in any remaining art that needs to go in, and having it go to an editor. So it's a tight timeline, but I am determined that is what I want to try and do. Because, not only have people been waiting too long for Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, but additionally, Gen Con is a huge event, and obviously I want to get it in front of as many people as possible. I'm running it at Gen Con as well. So, I'm going to send out the current work in progress, so this version, or slightly updated from this version, out today, so people can see the transition that it went from in June from the version that I last sent out, which was, as if you flip through it, you're like, hey, there's bits of like Cleft in the Mangled Hills and other adventures all kind of mashed in here, because I often take other documents and rework them into the final form that they become. So you probably looked at things and were like, why is this in here? And you're like, that's why, because I take the original documents of other adventures that I've done, and I take bits and pieces and I rework those things and turn them into the final form. So sometimes you'll see stuff and you'll be like, why is this in here? I don't understand. All right, so Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, the goal is to have it done by the end of July, take it with me to Gen Con. Fingers crossed. Now, Rabid Dogs Volume 2. The goal was to have it done in June. I really thought that was a reasonable goal, but obviously things got derailed. I am going to send out a work in progress PDF this weekend of Rabid Dogs Volume 2 because all of the content is pretty much there. It just needs to be put into its final layout with art and what have you, and finessed. But that is where Rabid Dogs Volume 2 is. My goal is to have that done and start to ship in August, but there are a couple of things that might challenge that. One, I will be at Gen Con for 8 days. I will get back from Gen Con, and then a week later, I will be at Phoenix Con in Appleton. At the very end of the month, I will be at Grand Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I will have 3 weekends and adjacent days basically wiped out going to various conventions for Goodman Games. So I will be theoretically done with Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. We'll be in the process of shipping. I will be going to conventions, coming back home, shipping more stuff, and then also trying to finish Rabid Dogs Volume 2. That is the, fingers crossed, hopeful goal of what's going to happen. Just being honest, it is not a hard, fast, it will be done in August, because August is going to be a challenging month. September, things quiet down. So September will be a catch-up month before things get crazy again in October with Gamehole Con and a bunch of other stuff. But in September, the goal will be to hopefully finish shipping Rabid Dogs Volume 2, but also to finish the Stennard Courier Volume 2 and Peculiar NPCs. So that is where all of those things are at right now. There's always room for challenges to crop up and things to get in the way. But I feel pretty hopeful that now that Sorceress Rites of the Elements and Protector of Genulane are done, things are freeing up a little. There will be we'll start to clear out this backlog so that we can do new stuff, because I'm really excited to do new stuff. In fact, speaking of new stuff, one of the things that some of you might be excited to check out is currently exclusively not on my Patreon, but we've started a Patreon sharing network between a number of us that have DCC Patreons, and this month there is a new version of the Canine class where Tenacious Grab and Pounce have been switched over from being kind of like thief-like abilities, which is kind of weird for martial abilities, and switching those over to being Mighty Deeds. And so the version of that is on Father Goose Creations, Jeremy Schumann's Patreon page. It will be exclusively up there for a week or so, and then I will port it over to the Breaker Press Patreon, so that people that are interested and excited to see a slightly different version of the Canine, it's minor, but significant in terms of how you roll to use these abilities. And some of the escalating effects, because obviously Mighty Deeds have escalating effects. I really want people to check that out. I want people to play test it and it to be experienced by the world a little bit before I put it onto paper and ship those out to the world. Speaking of things that have been shipped out to the world, the other thing that I neglected to mention, the one thing that was really productive, both in June and in July, is I have completed a bunch of reprints of different things. This is a second printing of the Tome of Debasement. There's a couple of little tweaks in there, so people may have seen that if they have the Tome of Debasement through DriveThruRPG, that an updated file was sent out to everybody, and that was because Rotting Stench, which draws scuttling insects to you, there was a change to that, as well as a change to, what is the spell called? Halo of Flies. So there was a slight change to the Halo of Flies spell to make it function a little better with luck mechanics. There was a third printing of Rabid Dogs in order to complete those last shipments of Sorcerer's Race of the Elements and Protector of Genulane. That was also why we needed to do more Tome of Debasement. There were no significant changes in Rabid Dogs. But there is a new printing of the Icon Bearer, new printing of the Canine, not to be confused with K9 2.0, which is on Jeremy Schumann's blog. There is also new printing of the Standard Character Creation Guide, the Hillwood Character Creation Guide. There's a whole lot of stuff. So even though I've been sick, and even though I had all these conventions, at least things were going to the printer, getting reprinted, being shipped out to people. Everything has been in motion. And a big pile of stuff is going to be on its way to the Goodman Games web store this weekend as well. All right, I have talked enough. We are at 11 minutes, and I like to keep these short when I can. Big thing to be excited about is that Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise is getting very close to completion, and I will be sending out those updated PDFs of the current state of the adventure. Those will go out today, and a version of Rabid Dogs Volume 2 should go out this weekend. So that is what is going on with Breaker Press Games. Oh, I should tell you about upcoming events. That's part of this too. And so let us talk about... So I have not confirmed finally where I will be on DCC Day, but I want all of you to know about the Sussex Shuffle, which is happening in Sussex, Wisconsin, which is a little northwest of Milwaukee. This event is basically like a mini one-day con taking place at a park in Sussex, Wisconsin. There will be fantastic GMs like Michael Spreedeman, Jim Myers, Peter from Dark Nebula Games, and Chris Zank, and I will hopefully be able to make an appearance to hang out and talk to people, because I am one of the Breaker Press Games is one of the sponsors of the Sussex Shuffle. I was reaching out to a store, and communication has kind of broken down, so I'm not sure what is going on there. But if information, hopefully I will have information on that soon. But other things coming up, I will be at Gen Con. I will be at the Goodman Games booth. I will be at Phoenix Con in Appleton, Wisconsin in mid-August. I will be running the Goodman Games booth and also running events at night. So if you are in northern Wisconsin and want to hang out and play games, go check out Phoenix Con. I'll make sure the links are down in the doobly-doo. And then I will also be at Grand Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan at the end of the month. So lots of cool, fun stuff and opportunities to hang out and play games with me. So all that being said, thank you for supporting Breaker Press Games. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. This is Nick from Breaker Press Games, signing off.